State your name, please.
And my name is Dolores Winans, and I'm affectionately known as Mom Winans.
All right. Mom Winans, let's start with your humble beginnings. How did you get started in gospel music?
I started singing in a choir called the Goodwill Community Youth Choir, and I was about the age of 5 or 6. My sister and I, we loved to travel and sing. So we started with them and sang with them until I was about 10 or 11, when I joined the Lemon Gospel Chorus under the direction of Lucille Lemon. And I played and sang with them until I was about the age of 15, just about 16 years old. We traveled all over the United States singing, and I enjoyed that part of my life. But I met my husband in the choir.
Oh, okay.
His mother brought him along, and we met there, and we sang together in a variety of groups within the Lemon Gospel Chorus. And then at the age of 16, he was 18.
Now, who was your husband? Tell us.
David Winans.
Okay.
At that time, it was David Glenn.
Okay.
And he had grown up in Church of God in Christ, but he was in a backslidden state, and we sang, because what we did in the Lemon Gospel Chorus was sing gospel music. It wasn't necessary that everyone was saved. They came from all different walks of life.
Okay.
So we just got together and sang. And I enjoyed this because that's the kind of music I love. But at the age of 16 and he was 18, he decided to go back to the church to give the Lord his life. And he asked me to go with him. And I did. And when I heard holiness preached in the Church of God in Christ, I knew that's the kind of life I wanted to live.
Okay.
So at that time, I left the chorus and came to the church.
Now, what role musically did you play once you got inside the church?
Well, I was really learning about the church, but I came in singing because my husband, when he went back, he was over the choir, and we started singing like we usually do, and I played the piano for them. And maybe about 2 years after that, we got married.
And here we are.
Started our own family.
Yes. And a great family you started. Talk about your vision for gospel music at the time.
Well, my vision for gospel music was the same. I loved it. But when we did get married, and I was still in the last year of my high school, we started our family right away. So naturally, my thoughts were on the family. But in between, we still did singing. It wasn't as much as we had done before, maybe in the church, just in our church. And then when we went around different funerals or different things, we did sing. But as the children grew up, I had a piano in my home that we always played and sang at home. They just gravitated to the piano, and they learned their own songs. They began to sing and made up their own songs. And so as they grew up, when there were about 3, 4 of them, we started teaching them songs to sing in church.
Now, how many kids altogether?
I had 10 children,
Bless you.
7 boys and 3 girls. And they started, like I say, sitting down at the piano. Never had any lessons, but they would pick out their songs and started singing and teaching each other songs. And this is the way they got started.
Wow. Now I want to go back a little bit to you and Pop Winans, as we call them Pop Winans. You all established a historical sound right here in Detroit. Talk a little bit about that, 2 of you.
Well, when we got married, we just, like I say, sang in the local church. After the children It was really after the children grew up and started doing their singing and their traveling that we kind of, we were going along with them,
Sure.
but still singing together. Now my husband...
Pause right there. I'm going to need you to answer that question one more time. And
Talk about you and Pop Winans' contribution to the historical sound of gospel music here.
Okay, what we did, my husband and I, when we first got married and started having the children and they started singing, we just kind of went along and taught them how to sing. He wanted to teach the boys. He grabbed the boys, since it was 7 boys straight.
Wow.
And he wanted to put them into that quartet sound. So he started teaching them the quartet sound. I loved the gospel music, so on my side, I tried to teach him some gospel songs. But we were just pouring into them what we knew and trying to give them songs to sing both at church. And like I said, they wrote their own songs, so they came up with some songs that they would learn from sermons that were preached. So we were going along, helping them out in their careers, and my husband would have small concerts for them around the city just to showcase their talent. We also went to the late night gospel musicals, Maddie Moss Clark and all of them, and they sang with them along with the Clark sisters. My husband and I, we were just sort of in the background. But as they began to be noticed, and the first one to really notice them, to want to record them, was Andre Crouch. That was in the year somewhere around 1987, 88. So he recorded them and gave them another name. When my husband had them, they were the I can't even think of the name now.
Was it testimonial?
Testimonial singers. But when Andre Crouch got them, he decided that they should go with their last name, which was Winans. So that was the first album, was introducing the Winans. Well, while they were singing, they brought my husband into the studio to do a song with Marvin. And from there on, they wanted to hear him sing along with them.
Sure.
So when they found out that we both sang together, they had us to come in and do some songs. And from there is when we got our contract to go singing as Mom and Pop Winans. But this was after the kids had gone and really made their mark in the gospel world.
Now, when Mom and Pop Winans did their first album, talk about that experience.
That was pretty exciting for me. I had no idea that was going to ever happen, but I still loved gospel music, so I still loved to sing. So when they actually wrote out a contract for us to sing, we went under, what was his name, Patrick Henderson, came and he was the producer of a lot of our songs. Our first record, though, was produced by Marvin. They brought him as executive producer, and several people wrote for it. Most of my children wrote the songs that we sang on that album. But we did that here in Detroit. And then the second album we went with Patrick Henderson, because the kids were all busy doing their own thing. But it was very exciting. I enjoyed the traveling, yet traveling and singing, although it was something that we really hadn't planned on doing. But as long as it was in the vein of the gospel music, it was wonderful. And we met a lot of people doing that. Earlier, when I was in the Lemon Gospel Chorus, we met James Cleveland and the Caravans, different ones that they were very big in our life as far as the singing was concerned. So we went on to meet plenty of gospel singers, and it was very exciting.
Wow. Now, what do you miss from that era that's not present today?
From that era
Yes,
in
ma'am.
the gospel music,
Mhm.
I just miss the words and the substance of the songs. You know, sometimes the contemporary music, which BB and CC went into more than my sons did. Sometimes you get lost. You don't find the words you need and all of that. But I think that's the most important thing that I miss. And I'm grateful that my son Marvin, he loves those songs too, so he keeps those in his services. He brings up the old, and he mixes the old with the new. When he writes a new song, he keeps that in there. Because to me, that's what gospel music is all about. It kind of meets you where you are. If you're down, it'll lift you. And I think that's what it keeps needing to do. Sometimes you listen to these songs and you don't know what you're listening to.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think that's the most thing I missed about it.
Okay. Now, you had 10 wonderful children that helped create a gospel sound here in Detroit. Tell us, how did you get them into shape to give us such great gospel music?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that.
What did you do to assist the family, the children, to be able to bring us great gospel music here in Detroit?
Well, I like to think I assisted them by helping them to stay on that right track. A lot of times they would write something and they call me and let me listen to it. So I could tell them, you know, if that was going to be all right, if it wasn't. And most of the time they listen.
Yeah.
Because I think gospel music should do what it was meant to do, and that's reach sinners and reach people and convict them where they are to live for the Lord. So we tried to assist them in that way. We always, you know, if we didn't like something, we weren't shy about telling them.
Wow. Now, your sons predominantly kind of set a path for gospel music. Talk about how you and Pop Winans felt when you start to see your family become legendary here in Detroit.
Oh, it was always such a gratifying experience, you know, to hear them on the radio, to see that their records were soaring, and to see how many doors were open to them, because many doors were open, and some of those doors were into the R&B and the different venues, but we were there to let them know that isn't what God called you to do. You have to be careful. I believe that His word can go anywhere and speak to anyone, but when you go, you have to be sure that you're living a life that is representative of God. And a lot of times, you know, they get caught up and they get caught to the other side, because the other side it was so much more lucrative as far as money was concerned. And we didn't want them to get caught up in that, because that's not what it's all about. When it's all over, it's how and what you did for Christ is going to last. So we were very instrumental in helping them to stay on that path. But being raised in the church, it was down in them anyway. So it just really, they just needed a little guidance. But their mind was already set to serve the Lord. So they walked into a lot of venues, and they had to turn down a lot of offers because they wouldn't do anything that would make Christ ashamed. So I think that's where we helped them a lot.
Okay. As a seasoned musician, didn't know you played. As a seasoned musician and singer, what do you see from your past that you can contribute to gospel music today?
What do I see from the
past that should be contributed to gospel music today, I should say?
I just feel like if you're going to be a gospel singer, you need to be living for the Lord, and you need to do those things when you're not singing that represent Christ. I try to talk to, I've met a lot of singers, young and old, and I try to tell them that. And wait for God to open the doors for you. Don't try to open them yourself or go another way or present yourself as somebody who you're not. But sing for the Lord, because the Lord has done many things for my children, and it's not because they have the best voices. There were many voices out there that were greater than theirs, but when the Lord anoints you to sing, and when He gives you His Spirit, then that anointing breaks everything. It soars over everything. So I know a lot of those doors are open because of the grace of God. So that's what I try to tell the young people whenever I get a chance to talk to them. Just do what you're doing for the Lord and let Him make the way, because He will make the way.
And my final question for you, what is Mom Winans doing now?
Oh, I'm just living for the Lord. Teaching or doing whatever He has for me to do. It's been a long journey. It's been about 65 years since I accepted the Lord for my personal Savior. And it's been a great life. And I'm just trying to help others to walk in that way. And I feel like I'll do that until He comes back for me, or we're raptured away, whichever comes first. But that's all I want to do is live for Him and to be who He wants me to be.
Is there anything else you want to say to contribute to this gospel music journey?
No, I'm just so happy to be a part of it, and I'm just so happy that they are bringing, gospel is a great, gospel music is great. And I'm so happy they're doing whatever it needs to shine a light on it, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Well, you're wonderful, and we're just excited that you're part of this journey. Thank you so much for your time.